Hi, I'm Steve McCord, Cattaraugus County Director of Veteran Services, and this is Our Veterans, Their Stories, preserving our heroes' stories, one story at a time.
Hello, folks. Have a happy new year. This is about all I can do for you. I'm pretty well tied up on myself, on my body and arms and whatever. And I got drafted when I was 18 for 2 years. I went to the military. The railroad wanted to give me a deferment. I said no. I said I'm going to go to the Army and protect their flag. So he says, all right, we'll let you go. But when you get back, your job is waiting for you. So I said, good. They was nice people to work for. Then I got drafted. We left Salamanca, went to Buffalo, then we got on Pennsy Railroad rail there, and we went through Olean. We stopped there, and I got a couple bottles of whiskey, and we had a little time on the train, because we had to go to Fort Hood, Texas, and that was a couple of days' ride. And we got that porter awful drunk on that. Instead of making the beds, he was falling in them. And then we got over that, and then we fell asleep, I guess. When we got up, we arrived in Texas there, and it was awful frosty cold. So they gave us a bunch of clothing, what they could issue us. I got a Army's hat, officer's hat. I had it on my head. I didn't know it was officer's hat, and an overcoat. And thank the people for that I got that overcoat. I kept my feet from freezing. And there was an officer come up to me, and he said, "Why don't you get yourself a bigger hat?" He says, with a star on it. He said, "That's the officer's hat you got on." I said, I was just entered in the military service, and I don't know the colors and banners and whatnot more, you know. And he kind of laughed, and he said, "No," he said, "I'll just pull your leg up for now." He says, "Just to remind you that that's an awful hat. You wouldn't wear it." So we went on. Then we got Fort Dix. We had a storm there. You'd sit down at the table to eat, and the wind come in, had all the windows blown out, and the wind and that rain come in and push your plate right down on the end of the table and move it. There'd be water on the table too, of course. Yeah, and we was glad we got out of there. The train ride, I kind of enjoyed that because I worked in the railroad, you know. And I told these buddies of mine, I says, if you can sit up in the center of the car or something, don't sit over the wheels, because every joint you hit, there's gonna be click-clack, you know, and you ain't gonna rest too well. And of course, everybody else got in the center of the train. Who you suppose they placed over them trucks? Mr. Zawatski, Private Zawatski. Yeah.
So what was your job when you were in the Army?
I was in the second Armored Division, what they call hell on wheels. And I was on the 420. I just can't think of it right now. I got it. 42nd Armored Infantry Division. I was what would you call armored guard? We rode on these tanks and everything else for our training, and it was rough, I tell you.
Where were you stationed? Were you here in the States or over in Germany?
No, I was stationed in Fort Hood.
Fort Hood, okay.
Yeah, I was there for I don't know, about 9 months, I guess, and I got to leave. Then when we left, when we went back off leave, they shipped us. We start packing up and greasing everything up to get ready to go overseas, and then we went to New Orleans on the 4th of July there. Oh, was it hotter than a firecracker. I had an awful headache, sick to my stomach. And we paraded out there, and it was awful hot. And as much as we sweated, you could hear that whistling in your shoes from the sweat, or it just rolled right down in your shoes. Then we got on this ship that what they call General Blatchford, and that was one of our ships once before. And then we give it to Germany, and they made an old tanker out of it. So then we recaptured that boat again. I should say ship, a little bit too big for a boat. Yeah. We recaptured that ship, and they made a troop carrier out of it. There was no air on it or nothing, just a greasy old tub. Yeah, and when we went overseas, I could have went over there with a motorboat if I had enough supplies on it. The ocean was just as quiet and still as it could be. You know, you could see the whales, the flying fish, and everything else. And when we mostly generally threw our laundry out alongside the ship to wash it. We had tie it on there, drag it through that salt water, you know, do our laundry. It just turned out good. It turned out nice and white. Yeah, and then we stopped in England and picked up some Air Force troopers and more supplies. And boy, I got scared that night. I was in a bunk here, and the big ship hole was here where it was lifting all that stuff out. There's no railing here or none. If I would have rolled over and lost my balance, I wouldn't have gone there. So then we went to Bremerhaven, Germany. Went over from Bremerhaven, that was the coast. Then we went to what they call, I think they call it, I can't think of the name right now, but it wasn't too far away from Wiesbaden and a few other towns there, Mainz, Germany, Wiesbaden. Yeah, when we got there, I see our airplane flag coming kind of close, and by God, he didn't make it. He crashed right in the Rhine River there.
A military?
No survivors.
A military or civilian?
Pardon?
Military plane or civilian?
No, it was a military, okay. One of our planes. Okay. Oh, there was a lot of places that would all blown to hell, and I got pictures of one town there. I was going to have them bring them up today, but I overlooked that. They're down the house by the light there. That one town, I'm sitting on a half track we come through, and it was a big town. I forget what the name of the town was, but that was all blown to hell. There wasn't a person in that town that I could see, and there was a big Catholic church there at one time, and the enemy must have had an ammo dump stored in that Catholic church over there. And the whole town and everything was all blown right off. The only thing was standing was that statue from the Catholic church, right from the foundation, way up there. It was about 3 or 4 stories high. And it was up there a pretty good ways.
How did the German people treat the American soldier?
Well, I didn't deal with too many of them over there.
Okay.
But before we went to the Army, I was still working on the railroad, and we had those German prisoners at that tie plant in Bradford, Pennsylvania. And they come over and talk to us. We went up there. We had to go bury a railroad car for fuel for the diesels. They would start just getting rid of the steam engines and starting to get the diesels. So we had to make provisions for them. Start putting fuel pumps in pump stations and sanders and whatnot more for the diesels. They used to come out, talk to us, ask us for a cigarette, and they were decent.
Okay.
But when I was home yet on the farm, those passenger trains, the Erie Railroad was on the one side, and the Pennsy was on one side, and the B&O was over further. But the Erie mostly only carried the prisoners. Them prisoners, they was all the wave and everything, you know. They was happy that they wasn't getting shot at. What the hell? You couldn't expect anything more than that, could you?
True.
What would you pick for a choice? Be a prisoner or getting shot at? I mean, it's hell to be a coward, but your life is worth more than that bullet to somebody else.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
So how long were you in Germany?
Well, the rest of my tour, I probably close to 2 years, I guess.
Okay.
Because I was drafted for 2 years, and I didn't get discharged till after 7 years, because I was in the national reserves,
Okay.
kind of blocking against the Russians. I hope you're not a Russian. No.
He lives here.
Yeah, we can all kid about it now, but at that time it was serious.
Yes. So how would you rate your time in the Army?
Pardon?
How would you rate your time in the Army? Do you regret being drafted and going? Are you glad you did? Looking
No.
back on it, what do you think?
No, I was glad. Well, in fact, before I got drafted, I tried to sign up. I was the only one to sign up. I changed the date on my birth certificate, and that officer in the office says, "There's something wrong here," he says. He says, "Looks like somebody done a little scribbling here."
Okay.
But I was glad I didn't go in take me that, because I wanted to get in the submarines. And I thought, God. And then afterwards, boy, I kicked my butt. I turned my shoe around, I was kicking myself in the butt, that they was thankful that they didn't take me. Then I waited a few months and then I got drafted, so.
Okay. So, and once you got out of the Army, did you use any of your VA benefits or anything? Did you use the GI Bill or?
No.
No, it just went right back to the railroad and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mostly had to pay for everything I got, benefits, prescriptions, and this and that.
Right. Okay.
And then he did get into the VA healthcare system later.
Right. Yeah. And so you use the VA healthcare now, but when you first got out, you didn't use it.
See, I done everything in the service. I drove the captain around. I hauled the water tank around, hauled the kitchen. Because when I first got in, they wanted to know if there were any truck drivers here. And I stepped out front, I said, yeah. And those guys in the back line said, they're going to give you a wheel bar. They're going to give you a wheel bar. Well, that wheel bar didn't turn up. I got a big deuce and a half. The reason we was over there, but the war was over. The war was over.
Yeah.
Yeah, the war was over before I got over there.
No, but I mean like the Iron Curtain. Was the Iron Curtain up by then?
Yeah, it was still up. Yeah, Russians were against us, yeah.
So that was what you were there for, is to fight if communism came this way.
Old Patton was right. He said we should have kept her on the moving. He said we didn't gonna have trouble with them. And he was right.
That he was.
Well, there's three of them there. The president of ours, he ain't worth a damn. Pruitt ain't worth a damn. That Chinaman ain't worth a damn. That pajama man, he ain't worth a damn. They could look at what Job, our president, done. Look what he done to this country. He ruined it. You people believe it or not, I do. He ruined this country. You're letting all these people in over border. He's feeding them and giving them money, food stamps, everything else. And us poor veterans, he ain't doing a damn thing for us.
Very true. Okay.
But anyway, when I was still in Germany, I got way ahead of myself on their story.
Okay.
And my two buddies and I, we got 3-day passes, so we went to Holland. So we went to Holland, and the passenger train pulled up there to the station, and we walked across the dike. There was dikes in between for boats to go through, like our streets are here. And we walked over there, and there was a big street going across. So we stopped and was looking this way and that way. Well, there was a girl coming down the street. So there was a shoe store there. So I went right next looking at the shoes, I didn't want to look her right square in the face, So she stopped and she bumped into me. She says, "Where you staying tonight?" I said, "We're going to go down the street and register for a hotel." "Oh no," she says, "you're not going to go down there. You're going to stay at my house," she says, "our house." She took me in, introduced her parents, her parents owned a dry dock in Holland there, Amsterdam or whatever you want to call it. And she took me upstairs, and on the way up, they had a room downstairs that had a cow in there, right in the house. But that was spotless. It was just like it right in here, just spotless. The cow was all cleaned up, nice and black and white, and I went up. Then we visited for a while, and then she took me for a boat ride on the canal, because she knew the schedules of the boats and everything. And then we ate. She fed me on the boat a little bit, whatever I wanted. You could get your meals right there, you know. And then we come back, and she says, "You're going to sleep in my bed." But she said, "I'm not going to be in bed with you." She says, "If I get in bed with you," she said, "I'm going to be claiming going to be a hooker." You people know what a hooker is, right?
Yeah.
And so she says, when I got ready to go into bed, she got the hot water kettle, and they didn't have heat like we got around here. She got a hot water bottle container, like a teapot, like we use on the stove. And she went in the bed and warmed that bed all up nice and warm. And she says, "Put your clothes on the chair here." So I crawled on bed. Well, of course, I was tired. It take me about 10 minutes to fall asleep. And I got up in the morning, and all the clothes were on that chair, all ironed, all washed up nice and neat. And we went down, we had breakfast. And then pretty quick, she had a set of car keys. She held them up like that. That was her dad's BM, that big automobile they got over there, big BM,
Yeah.
C, whatever they call them, the high price car.
BMW.
She says, "Here, you can use that today. You and your buddy can use that and tour the, you know, the tulip fields." So we were rode all over with that car. And like I say, her parents owned a dry dock shipping yard there. But I've been putting my shoe on backwards and kicking myself in the butt ever since that I didn't go along with her, you know. I should have married that girl.
I think it worked out that you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I was glad that I was drafted going in.
Okay. Okay, all right. Anything else you want to add here?
I think you should tell them about the time you seen Roosevelt in Salamanca.
Pardon?
The time you seen Roosevelt in Salamanca.
Oh. Yeah. When I lived in Salamanca, yeah, there wasn't too many cars around. My dad was working on the railroad, and we had to walk and buy our groceries with a wheelbarrow or a little red cart or whatever. And this one day, we went down to Sanders Meat Market there in Salamanca. And my dad used to like a little nip after he come home from work, you know, a little shot of whiskey. And Ma went in there to buy a bottle. And I come out, and She said, that's Franklin Delano Roosevelt across the street here. And there was one of them no parking, concrete parking signs there, you know how they were, triangle like, and they had no parking on the road and the concrete. I bumped into that. Yeah, another thing I forgot to mention, when I was overseas, I shook hands with Franklin Delano Roosevelt's hand, Churchill's hand, and de Gaulle's hand. All three of them, we called them the big three. I didn't mention that one in that part of the story. I'm all mixed up anyway, I'm a mixed up kid.
What was the occasion where you had the three of them? Were they together or three separate times?
Pardon?
You shook their hands all at the same time or three separate occasions?
No, at one time.
At one time. What
Yeah.
was the occasion?
There wasn't, it just happened to be coming out in the field and checking the field, checking the troops.
Okay.
They just, you know, checking their military,
Okay.
because we was all out there, you know.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that de Gaulle, he was a big man, he was tall. Roosevelt was pretty well laid up in that wheelchair. He see the start of the war, and he never seen the finish of the war.
Right.
The poor old guy. Yeah. And I mean, he was smart. He knew how to run the country, not like this one we got now. Everything was on gasoline then. Gasoline and coal. We didn't have fuel, diesel fuel, or jet fuel, or any of that. And he rationed the gas, but he'd give you a gas card, you know, A, B, and C. And you got enough gas to drive to work, enough to go see a doctor, grocery store, or a little extra visit. He didn't go nuts like this guy did here, raised the price way up.
Well, it seemed to work. We'd have had enough gas to fight the war and people here as well, so it worked. So,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, anything else you want to add?
Well, I can't think of nothing else.
Okay. Well, we thank you for doing this. We thank you for your time in the Army.
Yeah, and I thank you, and God bless you, and God bless your family. And tell Mike I says hello, and God bless him.
I would do so. I would do so. Thank you.